Hello, this is your Master GongSun, and hello to all my wonderful students, subscribers, disciples. Welcome to another episode of the Educating or Civilizing the Barbarian Sutra. This is chapter 68. In angelic dual cultivation, one learns to follow the Tao. To approach the Tao, you need your sincerity, for it is elusive, first revealing itself in form, then dissolving into subtle, indefinable essence. Though it is uncreated itself, it creates all things. Because it has no substance, it can enter into where there is no space. Exercising by returning to itself, winning victories by remaining gentle and yielding, it is softer than anything, and therefore it overcomes everything hard. What does this tell you about the benefit of non-action, otherwise known as Wu Wei, and silence? Remember, Wu Wei is also best translated into not non-action, but I think a better translation for it would be non-deliberate action. So nothing that is forceful, nothing that is against the Tao, nothing that feels unnatural. You can still act, but do not act against the Tao. Well, this is a pretty interesting chapter. Essentially, we're talking about how almost a contradiction, a paradox, right? It is itself uncreated, but it created all things. It has no substance, but it can enter into where there is no space. And what does this sound like to you, right? Doesn't it sound like our souls once again, right? Because here it has no substance, of course not. It's not physical. Our souls are immaterial. They are the opposite of physical, of material. That's why they belong and fit in so perfectly on the other planes of existence, the non-physical planes of existence, or you can call them non-physical realities. And it makes perfect sense, right? I mean, if the other places, I mean, if Earth is physical material, then the other places, the better places, must be immaterial. It must be abstracted. It must be super immaterial. That is the opposite, isn't it? And the other planes, they have no time, they have no space. So this means that, for example, I'll give a little demonstration here, right? I have my apple cider vinegar food supplement as well as my alcohol sanitizer, right? I mean, imagine here, I mean, what happens on the physical material realm when two objects try to occupy the same space at the same time? Palm. Impossible. It's material. That explains car crashes, right? Car accidents, right? But this doesn't exist on the other side. There is no time, there is no space. So two things can occupy the same thing at the same time on the other planes of existence, right? This chapter, in my opinion, and the more I read it, the more it makes perfect sense to me, is proof that Lao Tzu and all the early Taoists knew about the other planes of existence thousands of years ago, right? I mean, all of this, a lot of it is maybe classified under New Age, but what is so new about this? These concepts, these facts are thousands of years old. It's old age religion, old age wisdom, right? So anyway, think about it for a while. And also the ending just talks about like how the yin is preferable to yang, because if it's yielding and soft, you won't arouse much resistance. You won't arouse resistance, right? I mean, if you go to a bar, you start a fight, you punch someone in the face, it's yang energy. They're gonna want revenge, right? But if you win through other ways that are not as in your face, not as violent, then well, people may not even know that you had gotten what you want. You might have just stolen something from right out under them, but They don't know because it's not in your face. That's why yin energy is the more subtle way of getting what you want. And that's why it's prized in the Tao Te Ching. Okay, this has been your Master GongSun. As usual, keep living in alignment with the Tao.